Dear Texas Radio is sponsored by these companies.
Wimberley Valley Tourism welcomes people to explore the many fine shops, restaurants, and wineries that make Wimberley special. More at wvtla.com. Welcome to Dear Texas Radio, where we encourage Texans to drop everything and read. Your hostess for today's show is Roxanne Berkey.
Hi, and welcome to Dear Texas Radio, where we encourage everyone to drop everything and read. I am so delighted tonight to be able to bring to you one of my good friends and famous authors, Linda LaRoque. And Linda has a lot to tell us in this short segment, so I want to make sure that you're listening carefully because it's going to be a lot of fun. So, Linda, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me.
So the very first thing I want to talk about is that you just recently released a brand new story, and it's called, I believe, A Touch of Texas Irish.
That's
and
correct.
It came out when? Yeah, when did it come out?
March 8th.
Well, that's remarkable, and it's available on lots of different sites that we'll talk about later. But this is very interesting because this takes us back to the late 1800s, right?
That's correct, yes.
And so what made you create this specific story, Linda?
Well, my husband and I were fortunate enough to go on a trip to Ireland. And I thought, the ideas just started flowing. I mainly write historicals in the United States, but I thought, well, it could begin in Ireland. And that's kind of how that got started. A young woman in a bad situation needing to leave her home country and going to the United States.
So that is really a challenge, and I think that how you develop this character is really, really interesting because she actually has a protector, doesn't she, when she lands in the United States?
Yes, she does. She's fortunate enough that her mother's lawyer saw to it that she got on a ship and made it to Boston, and it was his brother that took her in when she arrived, and they just adopted her like she was their own. And the story goes from there.
Well, and I think it's a very fun story. It's exciting to have a new story out because that gives you a lot to talk about with some of your readers. But that's not all the stories that you have in this particular genre, is it?
No. However, most of mine that are historical are time travel. However, I am in an anthology, Journey of the Heart, that is Western historicals that revolve around modes of transportation, and mine happen to be the stagecoach. And the title of mine is Quixie on the Draw. And it was a lot of fun. That was a Western historical that took place in Texas. But my others are time travels, and I love those.
And how did you get into time travel? That is so exciting.
Excuse me, I really don't know other than an idea formed. And I started with this idea, and I just loved it so much. And my husband, he reads my work, and he just loved it. So I finished it, and then I wrote 3 little novellas that all take place in the same location. And then I went on and wrote the second novel that went with My Heart Will Find Yours, about an ancient piece of turquoise that dates back to the Anasazi period.
Now that's exciting because there's lots of history to go look up on that particular topic.
Yes, I had a blast with that. I did.
So you haven't...
We even went to Chaco Canyon to visit where it takes place.
Well, that's fun. So you and your husband, you travel a lot?
Yes, we do.
Get a lot of your ideas that way? Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Now, as a Texas author, and you live in a part of Texas that you've been in for how long?
We've been
for
here
a pretty long time.
This is where I grew up and graduated from high school, but we moved away, and it was 30-some-odd years at least before we came back. And my husband is not from this region of Texas, but it's not far to where he lives. But we've been here now 16 years.
Wow. And in that interim, you also helped young people and kind of launched them, doing some very interesting teaching, right?
Yes, I did. I taught school in, all over Texas. I think the most interesting was teaching down on the border in Presidio. That was a learning experience for me, but it was great. I enjoyed it. I've had some good years of teaching, and I've had some bad years.
Well, that's like every profession, right?
Right.
So do a lot of your students come out in some of the characters within your stories, Linda?
Not really, because I don't really write about teenagers. I taught middle school and high school. Most of the children that I have in my stories are little kids, say like 6 years of age or younger.
Okay.
I taught child development, so it's easy for me to create a child character and how they act. Well, I say it's easy for me. I mean, it depends on how believable it is to people who read it, but I like to write about that age. I take that back. I did have some teenagers in my very first novel, When the Ocotillo Bloom, and it was about a camp for problem children. The owner was a psychologist, and he worked with these problem children of all ages, and I really enjoyed that, too. Mm-hmm. I enjoy everything. I don't have any favorites, I guess.
I think that's part of why you have been such a thriving author. I mean, how long have you been writing now?
I started in, I want to say, 82, somewhere around there. It took me about 7 rewrites to get my first one published. And so it was, I made the comment to my husband. I said, I read all the time during the summer, and I was reading a romance. And I said, I can write one of these. And he said, well, why don't you? And so I thought, okay, I will. 3 or 4 years later, I kind of had an idea of how to write a romance. It wasn't near as easy as what I thought it would be. But it was challenging, but I loved learning all that was out there.
Well, and I think that you do write a lot of romance, and so there's a lot of, warm, good feelings from reading, those kinds of stories for people. And for you to have pursued it for so long, that takes a lot of commitment.
It does, and I don't... Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I don't know why I have stuck with it for so long, other than it's just something I want to do. I'm not making big bucks by any means. I make a little money. We can travel on it sometimes, but it's just something I want to do. I can't leave the house without my computer or a tablet, and I am going to write somewhere along, I don't care where we go. We've been on cruises that I write, and, road trips I write. Larry likes to listen to the radio, fortunately, and I'm not a radio person as far as listening to music. Now, I like to listen to books on tape, and we do that a lot.
So your books are available in Audible format?
No, mine are not.
Are you planning on that in the near term?
I have not thought about it. From what I understand, it's quite expensive, and I can't see myself, spending the money to do that. I think a lot of the Kindle books, you can, they're audible, that you can, listen to them. I've never listened to one, so I don't have any idea what they sound like. But something I should do, I guess, sometime. But no, I don't think so.
So your love of writing has gone on for literally decades. You like to write romance. Do you have a favorite character that you always remember?
A favorite character? Well, okay, let me say my romance is more light romance. Well, sensual romance. Right. I guess my favorite character is Texana, and she's the heroine in My Heart Will Find Yours. And she goes back in time to Waco in 1776. And it was an interesting time, and I can't tell you anymore or I'll spoil it. No,
there you go. And we need to take a small break, Linda, and hear from our sponsors. But when we come back, I want you to explain a little more about this character, if you don't mind.
Okay.
It was the most popular aircraft in the world, but did it have a flaw? That is the central question in the new book Scapegoat by author Emilio Corsetti III. Scapegoat tells the true story of a flight crew wrongly blamed for causing a near-fatal accident and the captain's decades-long battle to clear his name. Get your copy of the book today at your favorite bookstore or at books.txauthors.com.
Dear Texas would like to thank our sponsors, Bourgeois Media and Consulting, a book publishing consultant where creative inspiration is realized. More at bourgeoismedia.com. EBG 247, where you can find ebooks galore 24 hours, 7 days a week at ebg247.com. Testing 1, 2, 3. McKinney, Texas's quaint downtown square, rich in history, entices visitors to discover its more than 100 eclectic shops and eateries. With origins dating back to 1848, McKinney is situated just 30 miles north of Dallas and 40 miles south of the Oklahoma border. One of the country's fastest-growing cities, McKinney maintains its authentic small-town atmosphere, which is palpable when exploring the downtown streets, taking a walk on one of the city's many nature trails, or even visiting the city's Croatian-style village. Learn more about what awaits you in this picturesque North Texas city at www.visitmckinney.com or call 888-649-8499. From concept to casting, recording to post-production, Spoke Media is dedicated to creating a superlative listener experience. www.spokemedia.io. Welcome to Dear Texas Radio, where we encourage Texans to drop everything and read. Your hostess for today's show is Roxanne Berkey.
Hi, I'm Rox Berkey, and I am welcoming back the audience to listen to my conversation with Linda LaRoque. We've been having a wonderful talk about her books that have come out for many years, and she has a real focus on time travel. And you were telling us about one of your favorite characters before we took a short pause.
Yes, Texana Keith.
And where did you get the idea for Texana?
You know, I truly do not know. They just come to me sometime. You know, I know a couple of books. I had dreams, and they kind of led to the story. But Texana, well, we went to the Stagecoach Inn one time, and my cousin said, "See that lady right there in that picture? Her name was Texana." And I thought, okay, there's my name for my next character. But as far as her personality and everything, I don't know where I got that. I just created it. She lives in San Antonio, and she's an artist. Well, as a little girl, the neighbor, elderly lady next door, befriends her and teaches her to paint. And so she tells her all these stories as she's growing up. And when she's pretty close to a grown woman, she tells her, she said, when I was a young woman, my husband gave me this locket that has this piece of turquoise in it. And my mother was ill, and I had to leave Waco. She lived in Waco at the time, and travel to San Antonio to see my mother. But when I got there, it was 1936. And she said, I tried everything to get back, but I couldn't. And so I eventually married and had another life. And, of course, Texana's saying, yeah, I really believe this. You know, the lady's getting senile. But anyway, the lady begs her. She says, I have studied time travel. I know that it all revolves around this ancient piece of turquoise in this locket, and I need you to take this and some other things back to 1876 Waco and give them to my husband, Royce Dyson. And she humors her. She gets on the train, and she's got this old bag that has these old-fashioned clothes in it and a letter for Royce and all of this, you know. And she said, this is not going to happen, but I want to do this for Pearl. And her name was Pearl, the elderly lady. And so she gets on the train, and they cross the Colorado River in Austin, and that, along with the turquoise, has to some like a not a spin torsion field, but well, I can't think of the word anyway. And it transports
like
her back
field?
in. Pardon?
Like a force field?
Something like ley line. It was a ley line there.
Okay.
And so she transports back to 1876. And, of course, when she gets off the train, there she is in her tight jeans and her tight tank top. And when her husband sees her, he's just horrified. And he's not really sure it's her. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. A lot
and
of
that's where
conflict between them. And go ahead. I can talk all night.
You have this wonderful way of blending this time travel with the romance, and it's just a very exciting thing that you do. So I know that you're going to be out and about in some of the upcoming festivals that Texas Authors is doing. Where can folks meet you and see you in the upcoming months if they want to get a little bit more detail from you? Because you're really fun when you start getting discussions going about your stories.
Well, I am going to be in McKinney. Readers can always reach me on my website at www.lindalarroque.com. And if they email me, there is an email address there. I just get so excited. We'll be happy to, email them back and chat. As far as being at any other book signings, I will not be until the one in McKinney. My husband and I, we have just bought a road trek little RV van. So we're going to be getting in that van and going. And I was thinking, that would be ideal. I could pack some books and maybe have some book signings if I could get some set up at libraries and around. But
and you can get new ideas for your stories while you're out traveling. You said you don't leave home without your computer or your tablet, so.
Yes, that's right. That is right. There's just so much out there, and it's just unreal sometimes what the ideas that you can gain. I know part of this story about Texana came to mind when we went to Durango and we were on the train. And I was at first thinking about having the story set there. And then I thought, no, I want to have it in Waco. I grew up in Waco, and I just love the Texas history. It's as a matter of fact, I wrote another book set in Waco, and it's called Birdie's Nest. And this is about a Texas Ranger, a female Texas Ranger. And she gets shot back in time. And, of course, nobody in 1890 believes that she could be a Texas Ranger. And here she has this Texas star pinned to her leg holster, and she's got this gun, and it's just a lot of fun to get through that. And she does not ever get back home. But they learn ways that they can communicate with home by leaving something.
Leaving something for the future people to pick up and stuff? That's kind of fun. That's kind of fun. So do you work on more than one story at a time, Linda?
Usually not, because I like to get started and get one finished. And I'm working on a women's fiction right now that's set in modern time. And I'm anxious to finish so I can get started on another time travel, because time travels seem to be of more interest to people.
Oh, really? Okay. And you seem to have a lot of fun with it, so I can see where that works.
Yes.
So what advice would you give some of the aspiring authors that might be out there listening to the show to help get them off center and get that book published?
If they have something written and they feel it's edited, they should submit it to somebody. If they're thinking about self-publishing, they should be sure to get a good editor, because if they put something out there and it's not well edited, a lot of grammatical mistakes or formatting, people will never pick up another book of theirs. So it needs to be well edited, and they should go to lots of workshops. There are so many online workshops. They should join a club if they can. RWA is the club that I belong to, but I also belong to one out in the Davis Mountains, the Texas Mountain Trail Riders. And everybody has workshops, and you just learn so much. You need a critique group where you can exchange critiques, and it's amazing. Here I've been writing all of these years, but I still make mistakes. I still tell instead of show, and that is so bad. You as an author know that.
Exactly. And since you're part of Texas Authors, there's a lot of workshops through that as well. So you got lots of avenues now, especially with the Internet and things like that, to, as you say, tune up your skills. So that's good. Now, we only have 2 minutes left, and I want to sneak one more thing in, Linda, and that is, and you need to do it quick, that you have a contest. And so very quickly, tell the folks about the contest, and then we'll say good night.
First of all, readers can email me at linda@lindalaroque.com and say, enter me in the contest. When they do that, I will also be putting them on my newsletter list. But I'm giving away a James Avery charm bracelet with a James Avery charm that is the combined hearts to look like a clover, the clover heart charm. And it's
nice.
to celebrate the release of A Touch of Texas Irish. And
there you go.
I try to do that with every new release, have some type of nice contest.
Well, that's exciting. And it's been so much fun talking to you, and I look forward to maybe having another conversation or seeing you at the McKinney Book Festival.
I look forward to that, too, and I've had a great time.
Well, thank you very much. And folks, we appreciate you joining Dear Texas, where we encourage folks to drop everything and read.
Dear Texas would like to thank our sponsors. Texas Authors Incorporated, in association with the Texas Authors Institute of History and Drop Everything and Read Texas Incorporated, are proud to present the 3rd Annual Short Story Contest. Entries can be submitted between March 1st through July 31st. Winners are published in an anthology that helps raise money for the Dear Texas literacy programs, which has helped raise over $15,000 over the past 2 years. To learn more on how to enter the contest, go to ebg247.com or txshorts.com. Contest is available only to residents of Texas. Dear Texas would like to invite you to the McKinney Square Book Festival on June 3rd, 2017. The event will be held at the Performing Arts Center from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Meet 40-plus Texas authors, many of whom have won awards. Special events will take place during the day, and a special musical guest, Billy Dawson, will perform at 2 p.m. For more information, please visit our website, mckinney.deartexas.info. I'm Alex Anthony, your announcer. For all inquiries regarding voiceover, narration, and announcing services as heard on this program, please make contact through voxluxstudio@gmail.com, voxluxstudio@gmail, or you can call 512-537-6077. Thank you for listening and for your support. Thank you for listening to Dear Texas Radio. To learn more about Dear Texas and its literacy programs, please visit their website at deartexas.info. I am Alex Anthony, your announcer. Have a great day.